think the key difference are rooted in our value and belief is that we're trying to work with our user. When they make money, we make money. From the start, we decide to exit China market. That's why we never touch US users. It's all because we are quite self-disciplined and self-regulated.
Vivien Lin spent nearly a decade in trading, working at Morgan Stanley, BNP Paribas, and Deutsche Bank. In 2020, she left TradFi behind and joined crypto during one of the toughest bear markets. She then led BingX's AI strategy, rolling out a $300 million plan and building product innovation to serve 20 million plus users. Vivien is reshaping crypto, bringing Wall Street discipline to Web3.
Could you talk about the hack incident last year, and you handled it very well? So what would be the take and any suggestion or advice to the industry player here?
Okay, wow, that's really fresh in memory. I got up like 5 a.m. in the morning, very early morning, and I opened my phone. Wow, there's like over 1,000 messages. I was like, okay, there must be something big happening. Then I see we are hacked.
Hello and welcome to Build It Up, where AI meets crypto, technology meets humanity, and East meets West. I'm Bill. Subscribe now and be part of the conversation. My guest today is Vivien Lin, the Chief Product Officer at BingX and Head of BingX Labs. Vivien leads the product innovation and user experience at BingX, and through BingX Labs, she supports promising Web3 projects to help grow and expand the BingX ecosystem. Vivien, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Bill, for invitation.
Awesome. Yeah, so let's get started. I understand your background is very impressive from the traditional finance, Morgan Stanley, etc., and then get into the crypto. Back then, it was a sort of a contrarian move. So how did you end up with crypto?
Okay, I spent about like 9 years in traditional finance, covering like my career cover FX and commodity trading. Then I moved to equity derivatives and quantitative trading, etc. So
And you were a trader before, right? Not even a sales.
I actually covered quite a bit different roles. I start with the structure, kind of like a product role, and then moving to trader. Before I joined in crypto, I actually taking care of the Greater China business expansion at Deutsche Bank. So at that time, on one side, I'm also taking care of the product side. On the other hand, I taking care of the like market expansion, like quantitative strategy, like QIS expansion. So it's a bit of mix of a lot of things.
From which event you got inspired to get into the crypto?
Okay, the story is quite interesting because the first time I heard about Bitcoin, it was, I think, back in 2015, 16, around that time. Nobody knows what is, like, for me, it's a quite new concept to me. What is Bitcoin? What is white paper, right? I spent the whole afternoon trying to understand the white paper of Bitcoin. So that is quite the spark of the idea. Then I bought my first Bitcoin back in 2017. But looking back, actually, that time, quite a few of my trader friends, they already started to regularly trade Bitcoin. And some of them already start to think about running their own business in crypto-related things.
Yeah, you mentioned you're the same batch with the founding team of Amber, with Morgan Stanley.
Yes, we're working at the FX team back then.
Okay.
FX derivatives. They are also kind of like inspiration in my later career in crypto, because before Amber or before 2017, when people talking about crypto, it's more about like mining. It's quite tech savvy kind of things. But after I find many of my trader friends start to move into crypto, some of them running their own portfolio, some of them running a company like Amber, I got quite familiar with what's happening in this space. I only need to find an opportunity to really dive into this space. So this very opportunity and very chance coming around 2020. At that time, I was taking care of the, as I said, Chinese banking customer expansion in Deutsche Bank, and mainly focus on the quantitative trading, quantitative strategy kind of job. But the market at that time is quite bad. On one side, I was in Hong Kong at that time. On one side, there is an event in Hong Kong is that it's quite political side.
Okay.
Yeah. So Hong Kong become a place that when my customer from China onshore, I have to put the project to go through their board decision, discussion, etc. But because of the escalation in Hong Kong region, many of my project got stuck in the process. This is one thing. and very soon pandemic explode. So at that time, it's quite locked down everywhere. What I was doing at that time, there's not many opportunities in the market. So I got a chance to really relax and think about whether traditional finance or investment bank is still the place I want to be. So that's the opportunity that I start to looking around, say what else I can do. And my own interest, I'm quite really interested in technology things. Before I jumped to crypto, I actually spent roughly 1 year in gaming industry.
Web2 gaming.
Yeah, Web2 gaming between Morgan Stanley and BNP Paribas. I actually spent about less than 1 year, roughly 1 year in gaming industry doing gaming and other entertainment, like the TV series investment kind of thing. So I still feel if I have an opportunity, I want to pursue something more technology or tech frontier related job. So crypto naturally become my top choice. I talked to many different friends. I think back then the partner at Matrix Pod, Daniel Yen, is the one that I talked to, say, hey, do you have any suggestion for me? I don't know if I can do anything in crypto. And I really thanks Daniel Yen. He is like my mentor when I first joined this industry, and he gave me a lot of help.
And in such a short period of time, you have already grow your career and become the chief product officer for BingX. Could you introduce us a little bit? What is BingX in an elevator pitch? Who do you serve, and what does the customer profile look like?
Okay, well, at BingX, our main focus is still on the like retail side.
Retail.
It's roughly like 80% retail and 20% professional institution, either medium to high frequency traders. So our target user on one side is, we call that crypto newbies, who have maybe very low to zero knowledge about what's happening in crypto industry. They probably come into our platform because of their friends' recommendation, social media, or simply they just curious, what are you guys doing here?
Yeah.
So this is, we call a crypto newbie. Originally, when we start BingX, newbie is the key component of our users. That's why we tailored the features such as copy trading for those newbie customers. And second part is experienced individual traders. They mostly like tech service who is deeply involved in the industry, and they know what's happening in the market, what's happening in the project. They keep looking for arbitrage opportunities or airdrop opportunities. This is also a large group of our current retail users. And the third group is, I would think, semi-professional to professional individuals. Their demand or their request is quite different from the previous two groups. They're more looking for professional service, low latency, high speed. Even for customer service, they hope that we can understand their requests very efficient, just at one go, right? They don't want to spend 5 to 10 minutes explaining what they want and what their problem. They expect you to get their points at one go.
I wonder where are they located? Where are they from?
It's quite diverse. Like our key market, for example, Korea, Vietnam, as our compliance process going on different regions, we start to acquire users from Southeast Asia, from Taiwan, etc.
Sounds like the Pan Asia is your main region, but now also covers the CIS region.
Latin, Pan Asia, except China onshore, and excluding Hong Kong, Singapore, and also Dubai, UAE region. This is our new target, but we're still trying to sorting out the compliance, the VERA license things.
Yeah, so it sounds like your location is very diversified and also slightly different from most of the major Asia exchange, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so as a chief product officer, I wonder, how do you differentiate your product? You mentioned for the newbie, you prioritize copy trading, and
Yeah.
anything else on your product roadmap in next few months or this year?
I think the key difference are rooted in our value and belief. Is that we're trying to work with our user. We're trying to line up the profit or line up the benefit with our users, stand on the same line with our users. And when they make money and we make money, we try not to like stand on the opposite. Like coming to how we devise our product and what our choice of what kind of product we want to do, what kind of product we don't want to do. It's more of we consider like whether this product or whether a feature can truly solve the problem for the user. For example, copy trading. Not many exchange in 2018, 2019 want to do copy trading.
Early mover, even as early as 2019.
Yeah, very early. But I believe we are the early mover. It's not only because that we coincidentally find, okay, maybe nobody's doing that, so we want to do that. It's pretty much a strategic decision because copy trading is such a very complicated system. Even for bigger platforms, they still spend some time to really due diligence whether we want to put in that amount of resources in devising like so complicated system. But why we decide to do it very quickly is because the market at that time we're expanding is in Taiwan. Taiwan has a lot of newbies, right? They have zero or lower knowledge about crypto. So how to bring those newbie or Web2 user to Web3 from 2018, 2019 is always put on our top priority to think about how we bring more new user to the crypto industry. It's not like competing the existing user with other exchange. That's why the decision for us is quite, I would not say it's easy, but it's quite straightforward. But for some maybe other exchange, they probably need to think about maybe my strength is to competing existing user, not really bringing new user, because you put a lot of education cost, you put a lot of like community building cost, etc. It's quite I would say, a strategic move, a strategic decision to choose who you want to serve.
Focus on the beginners.
Yeah, originally we really focus on the beginners, go along with them, but now the market changed a lot from that time. So now we have to really face the competition,
Yeah.
like to think about, given what we have done and what have done by other exchanges, what is our angle to find a way to develop. Currently, our new kind of a strategic move is to place AI at our core strategy in the following 3 to 5 years.
What would be the use case look like?
Current use case is quite simple because think about how AI can be implemented in the system is on one side is internal efficiency enhancement. A very natural case is that if a user coming to us say, hey, I think your system has a bug because I placed order here, but you execute me here, right? This kind of, it happened all the day. And it's not only for BingX, for everyone, it's happened a lot of time. So what we did in the past is we send a customer service agent or like real person to dig out all the transaction history and to match the time and etc. And it usually take at least 1 hour to 2 hours to find out one single trade mistake. But now, first we will hire the AI agent customer service and to summarize the question into the keywords and the prompts. And we'll link to our backend system to automatically searching for the trade around that range of time and popping out the possible problem.
I'm curious, like for that one, you train a external agents like Zendesk, those type of thing?
In-house. We use Zendesk as well, but current model we are implementing in the progress is devised by our own.
Awesome. This is internal.
Internal, because of the data privacy problem, we cannot just pull out.
And how about the external? How do you gonna reshape your product externally to the user by AI?
Yeah. Now we did some initial attempt. It's like if you want to know what's a market like, for example, you just say, what's a market like? GPT kind of thing. What we do now is we train our own model. We're trying to integrate some of the private data within BingX to extract something not very user sensitive, is more generic, to provide generalized information to our user. This is first step. But ideally, I think in my imagination, like my roadmap, the final phase or the final product should be, you don't need to worry about what functions sit in what page. You just go to the AI or the AI assistant to tell him that, say, for example, I want to deposit Bitcoin, or I have some Bitcoin. Can you tell me where can I get a fixed income, or where can I get the 6% per year kind of investment? And the AI will search all the resources in our system and give you the option that everything happening in the dialogue. You don't need to find in the page, like user interface. Every user interface was compounded in that dialogue. From design perspective, it's just quite simple. It's just UI. But behind the UI, actually, there is a lot of training. For example, the word I just mentioned, please give me 6% investment, right? This is a single question. We need to analyze the user's motivation, to analyze the portfolio, whether it's a risk-taking portfolio or risk-averting portfolio. There's a lot of analysis things involved before we really pump up. So, okay, there's two choices. Sometimes, we find you are quite conservative. So maybe 6% is quite aggressive for you. We suggest you to lower your expectation, or we suggest you to invest in some, like, for example, fixed income, bond related, like RWA.
So fine tune take a lot of time, I guess.
A lot of time. I think 99% of the effort putting understanding the motivation, analyzing the portfolio, and giving a valid suggestion. Not this way, because I'm taking care of the investment as well. So many of the AI project, no matter in crypto side or in traditional Web2 side or in Silicon Valley, the common problem is that you cannot really decide an investment for the customer. What you can do is you're trying to understand them. But since different from the traditional advisory service, advisory, there's a human. You disclose a lot of your private information to the human, and you trust the human will keep their promise to keep your data privately, right? But in AI space, we're trying to shorten the conversation. We hope that by analyzing your data, we can identify your real needs more accurate. Sometimes you say, I'm a risk taker, but actually inside your mind, you are risk avert, right? We're trying to make it more precise and make our suggestion more kind of applicable and validate for whoever asks the question. That's a key challenge. And we believe this is the thing that really can differentiate our AI with like many other AIs.
Yeah, please keep me updated when you release the first beta version.
Of course.
So come back to the exchange business. As you mentioned, now the market has become more competitive, and I guess the table is getting crowded.
Yeah.
Having said that, also we can observe from the traditional finance domain that usually is exchange in the end. The market cap is not as big as the payment company or banking industry, etc. Let's say if we sum up the market cap of the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, ICE, which manage the New York Stock Exchange, and also the Nasdaq, etc., all of them summed together is not as big as the market cap of Visa alone.
Yes.
So sounds like in traditional finance, actually exchange is not a super big industry. It's very important, but it's not that big. But come back to our industries, Web3, so far, exchange is still the largest business. How do you see exchange as an industry evolve along the way, and how does BingX is going to deal with those type of change in the future?
I think the difference in the roadmap between crypto and traditional finance rooted in how the industry got originated. Like for traditional finance, banking and payment, the naturally where finance come from, then lending, then trading.
They're the starting point.
Yeah, starting points are quite different. That's why banking become like super large, then payment, then like trading. At crypto, the very first needs, like where the industry originated, is mining, right? Mining once upon a time is the biggest industry. And then when people get a lot of BTC, they say, oh, okay, I want to trade. Then that comes exchange. Then exchange evolve, like sprout out quite different various functions to provide service aiming to making the trading function bigger. For example, we're talking about lending. We're talking about like projects, investment. The subsector, initially their main purpose is to making trading
more
convenient, bigger. Then comes to like what we say, we talk about RWAs, we talk about like PayFi. The key question here is why people want to use stablecoin, or why people want to use crypto to pay, to do the cross-border transaction. And of course, from the crypto user perspective, they are so get used to stablecoin, they get so used to Bitcoin. So it's reluctant for them to really convert their tokens into fiat. This is happening in the new generation after like
They're always on chain.
always on chain. Like crypto for them or USDT for them is just like a USD for us, right?
Yes.
But things coming to this point, those younger generation, when they grow, become the mainstream investor, mainstream activity originator, it still takes time. But in between, like how big is the PayFi in crypto? I think there's always needs for cross-border transaction for a lot of like different reasons. But we will see these PayFi things to grow gradually. It's not like one go. At the same time, for example, like how PayFi and crypto they integrate or they grow together is take BingX as example. We have investment arm. We invest quite a lot of like different projects. PayFi, RWA also on our radar.
Yeah.
And we're trying to like, yes, PayFi and RWA is like so small at this moment, but we hope to like first invest and second to provide the service and the help necessary for the projects. I would not say guide, but stay with them to see whether they have the real needs to grow bigger. This is how we participate in the industry or the user case in the future.
So you think basically exchange, will not restrict themselves with exchange business itself, but will evolve along the way. So it sounds like exchange might be a sort of all-stop solution if you have the right strategy to capture the right opportunity in the future, including PayFi and lending, etc.
Yeah, everything. Yes, but now we obviously face the challenge from compliance perspective, right?
Yeah, so like, can you do a all-in-one solution? Right?
Yeah, this remind me a very interesting time when I was in traditional finance before Volcker rule, right? Before Volcker rule, like people, there's no problem. You do prop trading and you do agent trading at one desk.
Yes.
And even we sometimes find, apart from those ethic problem and issues, from trading perspective, we actually find combining these two desks into one group of people is more efficient. They can decide whether they want to hedge or they have more holding power. Sometimes when the market collapses, if I'm forced to sell, then actually I exaggerate the drop, right? This is not something investors wants to see. It's not even something a regulator wants to see. But for various reasons, regulator decide to separate these two functions into two different teams. They cannot talk. They cannot even sitting in the same floor in the office.
But I think right now for crypto is still in a gold rush. I don't think any equity exchange can do VC, right? You cannot imagine Nasdaq can have a Nasdaq VC arm to have a pre-IPO investment into the Google or Apple, right? But in our industry, it's a very normal practice. Yeah. So I think we are still in a very precious time window, especially for the exchange to become a sort of mega platform in near future.
Yes, and this is related to another, I think, very interesting topic I talk a lot internally is that, yes, there's no compliance or the regulator not yet decide how to regulate.
Not priority yet.
Right? Maybe yes, maybe not, but at least they don't have a very clear mind how I want to regulate it. They probably observe and they take more evidence, etc. They also study the industry. For us, I think one reason why the company decided to let me to lead the product side is because my experience in traditional finance. Because traditional finance is like super regulated and crypto industry is like super unregulated. So before all those regulations put into place, there have to be someone familiar with how like possible the regulation going to be implemented in the future, and we can get prepared beforehand. For example, just you said, we have an investment arm in exchange. But from professional, like employee perspective, from system perspective, and from decision-making perspective, currently we already trying to separate the different functions to make them more independent, kind of have these two forces, right? One is trying to invest. One is trying to do the risk management to counter the interest to make a self-disciplined, self-regulated before somebody say, hey, you really did something very, very bad in the past. We try to not step into that situation.
Yes.
That's why from the start, we decide to exit China onshore market. That's why we never touch US users. It's all because we are quite self-disciplined and self-regulated.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you. Let's come back to another topic. I think most of the audience, especially for the user, would be very interested. Would be, could you talk about the hack incident last year? I understand, in the end, you handle it very well. So, like, what would be the take and any, suggestion or advice to the industry player here?
Okay, wow, that's a really fresh in memory still.
Yeah, after the token 2049.
Yeah, right after. At that day, I have a very early flight, around like 7 o'clock, flight from Singapore back to Hong Kong. We have a management meeting at that time. And I got up like 5 a.m. in the morning, very early morning. And I opened my phone. Wow, there's like over 1,000 messages. I was like, okay, there must be something big happening. Then we are hacked. At that time, I actually didn't know like how much was in the hot wallet, because like a lot of things going on. All our team, the tech team are like busy with blocking the hacker from like hacking more funds, and we are moving funds, and like everything is really, I would say it's in order, but because so many people was involved. So for me, the like message flying everywhere. I call our founder, I call the finance team, say, hey, how much exactly we lost? They say, oh, we're still calculating. And I ask a second question to our founder and to our board is, do you think we are okay to cover the loss if the entire hot wallet was gone? They told me firmly, say, hey, Vivien, the exact number is still calculating, but if all our hot wallet are gone, we'll still be able to cover the loss. So feel free, just feel peace, feel peace to communicate to external counterparties, institutions, retails, medias. Just let them know we will cover. So I remember I boarded on the flight around like 6:30. And I turn on the flight Wi-Fi and do all those things, communications with the crap Wi-Fi in the flight. But just to relay the first-hand information, hey, okay, I'm not quite sure the exact number, but we guarantee that we will cover all the loss. We will try to resume the withdrawal as soon as possible. This is first thing we do. And second thing is we need to decide when and how we resume the withdrawal and deposit. Because at that time, the wallet system, in case there's something like we didn't detect. So at that time, even we have money to compensate or to pay back user, we still don't dare to resume the wallet service immediately, in case like we open here and the hacker coming on the other way. So that's why we still take, I think, 20 hours to resume withdrawal. First, we block the old service and we kind of activate the plan B, the backup wallet service, but it takes us some time to adjust and to move the funds. So that's why we take 20 hours, roughly 20 hours. And this is the first thing, when and how we want to resume the service. And second thing is what kind of the procedure we resume, whether we resume withdraw first or we resume deposit first. At that, to be honest, we still have the worry that if we open the withdraw first, then whatever, like people coming in, like flooding to withdraw, even we have sufficient funds already there, it still depends on the on-chain traffic kind of things to allow all those transactions, all those withdrawals happen. And at that time, because it's such an emergent situation, people will not understand it's because of online traffic. If their withdrawal fell, they will think, oh, BingX still block our funds, right? It's another wave of PR problem. So during the process, we actually discuss a lot, but eventually we decide, okay, we want to take all those consequences, but we want to allow users to withdraw first, because withdrawing is the things they want to do at the first beginning, no matter fail or
also
success.
It's a strong signal to the community, right?
Yes. So that's why we put all our resources, tech resource, and everything to build the withdrawal service first. Then after, I think 24 hours after we resume the withdrawal, we resume the deposit. But very interesting thing is there are actually not many people withdraw. We did a huge amount of like backup funds sitting there to take care of the withdrawal, but actually just a few users really coming to withdraw.
I think maybe the action you allow the withdrawal also minimize the amount of the withdrawal.
Yes. And the second day we resume deposit, a lot of people deposit. The main key motivation is that they are trading. They still have their perpetual trading, right? They want to deposit to top up the margin. Yeah, but this is a quite interesting thing. We also share this experience with our peers, like so-called competitors or our peers. Yeah, that's the experience we have. Very interesting, very interesting. And then we do AMAs. We do a lot of like social media announcement. We do quite a lot of announcements in that week, probably more than ever, almost every hour, every 2 hours, to keep the public posted about our progress. We open USDT on like Ethereum network. We open USDT on BSC network, just like little by little. So yeah, I think we did quite good job.
Yeah.
In this event, though it's still painful.
Yeah, I heard that's the thing. Like without one major hack, exchange cannot be a mature exchange. So
yeah, some people say that.
okay, cool. Yeah. So for the sake of the time, let's go to the last question.
Okay.
I think you built up a phenomenal career personally, and what would be your advice to the new starters, like the fresh graduate, who want to get into the industry?
I would suggest be always open-minded to the technology, business model, and even all those new ideas. Something I see in crypto quite often, but not many in Web2 IT technology space, is that our industry changed so fast. Even for one single product, for example, margin trading. When I started the margin trading in 2020 and what we do margin trading at this point of time, they're actually two different things. So imagine you are the product manager of the initial margin trading product. That is your baby, and you find, okay, nobody likes my baby. Now you will feel very upset. So my suggestion is be always open-minded, be always like embrace all the challenges and the changes and the challenges. Is a key thing. And second is, I would say, because crypto it's very high tech, and the technology involved, solution involved, a lot of creative, innovative things happening in this industry. So my suggestion to everyone, even you are a legal, you are a product manager, or you are a operation in the operation team, is to study programming, learn how to code. That will help a lot when you're trying to understand what's happening in the industry, and when you're trying to communicate with, like for myself, I communicate with the product team. If I know what they are doing, I can read their code. I can get a very direct sense about the quality of the project, instead of really looking at the point, right? The slides always telling good stories, but you need to down to the details to understand what's happening. That's my biggest, the top suggestion here.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Really appreciate, and thank you for the time.
Thank you, Bill.
Well, that's all for today on Build It Up. We'll be back next week with another inspiring guest. Subscribe now so you will never miss our amazing interviews.